Hello and welcome to Paul and Ted's Talk Time. This is Ted and I'm Paul, and today we're going to be talking about pornography.
Yeah, not the easiest one, as we're finding we're having kind of a hard time to get an angle on this one, Paul. Why are
Mm,
we having a hard time?
I think it's because it's such an huge umbrella term, isn't it? It covers so many different subtopics, if you
Mm-hmm.
like.
Yep.
But
Uh,
you want to focus in on the main
well, we can.
broad
I think
stream.
start there. Start there.
Okay,
Okay.
so what is that?
Well, let's take websites for starters. The websites with the most hits are pornography websites. So what we can establish from that is that there's a huge demand for porn. Are we agreed on that?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Why?
I think stating the obvious, it it supplies a need of sexual gratification, doesn't it?
So people are watching porn for sexual gratification.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I can't swing it any other way. Okay, fair enough. But isn't that a sort of a natural thing? Isn't that sort of a natural need? I mean, if you look
Well, hang
at
on.
one's hierarchy of needs, which is what we studied at college, and you have food and water, and right at the top there is sex. I mean, if I look at my dog Max, when he finds a bitch on heat, he drops everything. He doesn't eat, he doesn't drink. All he's interested in is his other dog, and he'll trail around behind her the entire day. Now, I think, to the lesser extent, don't we all do this?
Yeah, but uh, yeah, I struggle with this one a bit. I, s-
Okay, so
I struggle with
you think
this.
we should suppress our needs? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm kind of just thinking about how it was when we were younger,
Okay, well,
and I mean, we certainly didn't have the same exposure to pornography that's available
and we
today.
were okay, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what was your first encounter with
Well, I mean,
pornography? Can you
if I
remember?
remember rightly, we were, I was at a boarding school, and one of the teachers at school, he let us sit in his sitting room and watch the football in the afternoon after we'd had games practice and what have you. And I guess we were about 12 at the time, and we found this glossy magazine under the table there, and we had a look through it, and probably that was it. Open out the centerfold, and there she was.
Hmm.
Blonde and naked. And of course, that was a big thing for us back then. That was exciting, because we'd never seen anything like that before.
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
12-year-olds today, what are they exposed to?
Well, there's a whole spectrum, and this is the part which I find a little bit unsettling, sometimes damn right disturbing, and sometimes just, okay, like I fall into the mainstream and get along with it like, most people do. I would place money that all of our viewers, and I'm not going to mince my words here, have probably at one time or another had a look at porn
Yeah, but
or
that's fair to say,
yeah, yeah.
and it's fair to say that that's a fairly natural thing. There's nothing detrimental to the persona if you decide to sort of tune in and watch some porn. Is that fair to say, or you have an?
Well, I'm not so sure because there are some people some scientists, in fact, who argue that it's quite detrimental to your health.
Why?
Well, they argue that it's almost like an addiction. Whereas let me elaborate on this.
Mm-hmm.
They Somebody has exposure to porn,
Mm-hmm.
and they see the same porn movie over and over and over again, say,
Mm.
just for argument's sake.
Right.
And over a period of time, they become desensitized to
Mm.
it. So it takes on, it doesn't give them that hit anymore.
Okay, so you're saying that they start off with a sort of a natural introduction, and it starts getting a little bit more darker the more you watch it,
Yeah,
and perhaps the behavior in the video is not
not only in the video, but
Mm.
that for me, this is the kind of shady, dark area
Okay, but
of
all right,
porn. No, no,
let's
no, no. Hang on, let me finish.
okay.
Because what I'm trying to drive here is, yeah, it's vicarious. Okay, it's harmless. It's within the privacy of their own home or wherever
Mm,
they're looking at it.
mm.
But there is a danger that this behavior might creep out and manifest itself in reality.
Okay.
Now, getting back to my initial point,
Mm,
let's take the example of two people
mm.
having intercourse and
Sex. Let's keep it.
sex intercourse, whatever you
Yeah,
want.
I mean intercourse. I think that's a word we would have used sort of 100 years ago. Yeah. Anyway, come on.
Okay, um, and they're having sex,
Mm.
um, and this 13-year-old, he has no.
13-year-old.
Oh,
So that's
are
then
you?
illegal sex, is what you're saying. Then
No, the
you're
person, the viewer.
okay,
Yeah,
right,
the
all right,
viewer.
right.
Okay, and that raises some other questions.
Mm,
Okay,
yep.
but let's assume, and I think it's reasonable to argue that there are
No,
13-year-olds out
because I
there.
said that my
Yes, you
first day,
did.
I
Yeah,
said 13. So all right, we'll go with this.
is watching this
Right.
now. 13-year-olds don't generally have uh, uh, a guidebook to sex as
No, I didn't
such.
have one.
Right.
Did you have
Okay.
one?
No,
Right.
no.
Okay.
So we're looking for cues and signs of what's normal, what's
Okay,
acceptable.
but all right.
Okay.
But what's he watching? Come on, be more specific.
Well,
What's he?
he could be watching anything, could he?
Okay,
Because
but you see, then we're getting to sort of we don't know, and when we're not,
but
we're
but
too
but but
loose.
we're arguing here.
Mm.
We're arguing: is porn good for you or good for society or
Well,
not?
it's like anything. Some is good, some is bad, isn't it? Yeah. Mainstream porn you're going to run into every single day, and as a how we say, let's use the word normal people are going to watch this now. Okay,
Okay.
the big
Okay.
the big argument I watched on there was a documentary about this on TV the other day, and they said the problem was you were watching porn, and at some point, with your very good point you made about desensitization, you you get a little more, for want of a better way, quirky with what you're watching, to the point that at some point you cross over from the point where everything you watched up to now is what you might be doing with a partner as and when you get one. And then all of a sudden you're going into something which you probably wouldn't be doing with a partner as and when you found one. And I think there, yes, I go with you there. We're into
Mm.
that area of persuasion, of abnormality, which would affect the individual.
Well, also porn is pushing the boundaries of abnormality and what is considered normality.
Exactly.
It's always
Yeah.
it's a
And
living,
I don't,
evolving
yeah.
creature.
And I don't think you have to go down the real dark alleys, which I know you've been wanting to do. I think, even on, let's say, the mainstream sites, a lot of those things, perhaps are not suitable without sounding like you
But
know
I'm gonna
lecturing a point. Mm,
argue that by
mm,
raising a very point you would make.
okay.
What's the harm? It's in the person's
I fully okay.
privacy.
So let's look at me, okay, and with three sons, I mean, this is what everybody would be asking you. Well, what was your policy with your sons when they were growing up and pornography? And here's the answer: no restrictions whatsoever. Find
At
your own,
what age?
all age.
All right.
No restrictions whatsoever. Find your own way with this. Now, I asked my eldest son about a year ago. I said, on reflection, I said, as a father, you always think, you've messed up in various occasions. And I asked him that. I asked him, I said, look, I always let you and your brothers, watch whatever you like and whatever TV. I never interfered at all, and you could watch whatever you like on your laptops. Do you think, on reflection, that I was wrong? I should have. And he said no. He said absolutely right, because we would have done it anywhere somewhere else in somebody else's house.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
This is a common theme,
Yeah.
isn't it?
No,
With
I don't.
addictions
No,
and
don't get me wrong, Paul. I don't feel I wasn't absolved of thinking about it because of what he said, but he did have a good point, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
the more you try to bury it,
Yeah.
the worse it manifests
Yeah. Okay.
itself.
So go back to your point about the is it detrimental to an average person? I think I think sure it is. Once it gets to the point where you're into that sort of
Crossover
the
point.
crossover. Yeah. Do you agree with this?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my main bone of contention. Is where does what because this is setting a standard. It's
Mm.
kind of like it's kind of how does somebody know whether it's right or wrong to do this? How do they know whether it's good or bad for them? I mean, because even the people that are doing it, which we haven't looked at,
Mm.
those who put themselves out there. I
Mm.
mean, it would be interesting to know how many of them kind of might regret that later on. Although
Mm.
that's a kind of different subject
Yeah.
altogether, but it's still pornography.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, you have lots of ways, you can restrict porn, you can make it illegal, but there's always going to be ways around it, and people are always going to have access to this. And the more time goes on, the more there's going to be, obviously. If you look at how it's evolved over the years since we were young, and since we were teenagers, 13, 14, we're the same age, more or less. I mean, of not having anything at our disposal and to what we have now. And goodness knows what's going to be available 20 years from now, Paul. I mean.
Well, that's a kind of $1 billion question, isn't it? Because if you look at how it's evolved over the last, or has it evolved?
Mm.
Oh, no. I would argue the internet has just given it a voice, a platform. It's always been there,
Right.
or has it?
Well, I think so.
Have these quirks in Edwardian times, Victorian times, were they there?
Definitely there.
You,
Just suppressed.
just suppressed.
Absolutely, no doubt about it.
So you could argue then that pornography has been a good thing in that respect.
What, bringing out?
Yeah, because the suppression, God knows what that might do to people. I'm not so sure.
Getting back to pornography, though, I mean, the argument, I'm coming in from my side, the argument would be, where do you watch pornography as a rule? I mean, one would have to assume that most people will watch this in the comfort of their own homes, on their phones, on their computers, what have you, and are not doing any harm to anybody else, just watching whatever movie or whatever picture they want to, or genre, or whatever you want to call it, which tickles their fancy on a given day. What harm would that do to anybody? Bit like having a sort of a bottle of whiskey. I'm having a bottle of whiskey in my living room tonight watching TV. What's that got to do with anybody else?
Well, what would feminists say to this? Do you know?
No, they'd be up in arms.
What would their arguments be?
Well, I mean,
think of any?
Well, I mean, I guess the sort of the
objectification of women.
Yeah, I guess so. The degradation, but it's gone so far beyond that, hasn't it? I mean, because of the enormity of the industry. So, I mean, it's absolutely massive now. I mean, it's probably turning over.
But that just because there's a market there for it, it doesn't necessarily render it right.
No, of course it doesn't. But it's here to stay, Paul. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not going to be quashed. Yeah. I mean, we worked for a decade in the Middle East, and you could readily watch this, although it was illegal. You could watch this on cable TV in that country. So it's going to be there. It's not going to be taken away. Even in ultra conservative places, it's still there.
Why do they suppress it out there?
Well, I mean,
what's their
well,
argument?
I think the moral issues, all the ones we've touched upon. Yeah, I wouldn't say perhaps so much the degradation of women, but definitely the idea of exposing young people to that. To sex, when really that's not what they want. They want sort of familiar relations to follow very much, you know, the route which the country has laid down for them, and this kind of, you know, rocks the boat a little bit. So in that respect, yeah. But you know, that's one part of it. Go back to the mainstream pornography and try to figure out, is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? If it's a good thing, how is it good? If it's a bad thing, why is it bad? Can we do that?
Well, if we've already touched on about, you know, the suppression of these quirks and desires and fantasies and stuff. So I suppose in a way, if it's given a vent for that, then
That's a plus.
That's a plus, isn't it?
Okay, but your average kid, you know, school, you know, 13, 14, 15, you know, discovering his sexuality, if this is the way we have to put it, watching this on his laptop at home in his bedroom. Anything wrong with this? Mainstream porn, let's not worry about all the dark ones. Tip it in. I want to see a blonde girl with doing this. I want to watch it. What's wrong? What's wrong?
I wouldn't. I can't see a great
Exactly.
deal
We
wrong
can't
with that,
come up,
but
yeah.
you know, I'm not going to go along with you about not stumbling upon the unsavory
Okay,
stuff.
but let's
You
say
know, that for me would be.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, there's always going to be the dark side, and I you know, you're not going to get away from that. But we got to go with the mainstream because it's such a such a huge subject. We got to take the general population.
I think you've got to also look at what we've touched upon already about setting the standards, right? Now, you know, you could have a guy who's been watching porn who meets a woman who hasn't encountered porn, and he want his kind of ideas of what's acceptable might be a lot further down the road than what this.
Yeah, but isn't that kind of for them to figure out as a couple? Do we really want Big Brother intervening and saying, "Well, this sorry, you can do this,
it's just
this,
an
this."
observation.
Yeah,
if
do you
like.
can do this,
It's
this, and sex, but you can't do this. Oh, come on. You know, this is for individuals. You know, growing up.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I get the point. I'm on board with you.
Right.
With that one. Right. But let me ask you the question you raised.
Right.
A little earlier.
Sure.
Where is it in 20 years' time?
It's a good question, isn't it? We don't know. I mean, let's just say there's going to be more of it. It's going to be more accessible, you know. But don't forget, this is marketable. They're selling this, okay? So what do people ask for? What do people want? What are people paying for? Yeah. Okay, that's your question. What are they after? What are they looking at? Yeah.
It's that insatiable appetite.
Yeah, it is.
It's an insatiable appetite.
And
it's saying, here I am. Take this as a scenario. Here I am in my relationship, but sorry, dear, you're not good enough. I need to go off and, you know, find
something a little more
stimulating.
Okay. Right.
So isn't that detrimental to a relationship?
It certainly could be. It could work. So it could work both ways.
So here you have this, as you've already referred to, this instant gratification, if you like, YouTube version of porn, where you can get what you want when you want, you know, in the privacy of your own home.
Right. Yeah.
But basically, it's saying, right, I've been in this relationship for 5, for 10 years, for 15 years, or whatever the case may be.
Why? Yeah.
Sorry, dear, but you just aren't doing it.
But why is it saying that all of a sudden? Where did you make the leap to say that it's not doing it? Why can't you have both? That's what I'm saying. Why can't you have both?
Well, I'm just saying there's a danger in.
But it's also a need, isn't there? It's providing a need. If the guy is in a relationship with a girl and he needs to watch something a little more quirky than perhaps he's getting with her, what's the problem? What's wrong?
It can go either way.
It can go either way. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
It can go either way.
Does it put a lot of pressure on young people?
I think it has the potential to put pressure on relationships, not just within those of young people, but yeah, I could see that because again, they are setting this standard. You know,
It's not
this.
self-moderating.
No, it's not, is it?
Okay, what makes you
Mm,
say that?
I think. Well,
Why isn't it
I think
self-moderating?
cast your mind back to
Mm,
when you were in school,
right.
right? You know,
Mm,
this thing about penis size and that kind of thing.
mm, mm.
You know the, the message being promoted on the porn sites, if you like, is big is best and this kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I don't know so much about that.
Well, no. But if you've encountered this, you'll see, that you know they kind of what's the word
Yeah,
I'm
but that's a
looking
little
for?
bit different because you can't
Well, no,
change.
it's saying
You
it's
can't
saying
change stuff
this is what's
like the
the
norm.
yeah, and look at me, I'm well endowed, and and
So
they're
you,
marketing
yeah,
this
but
as
you're making this sound it's like it's not self-moderating, like it should be controlled, and I don't like
no, I'm
control.
talking about the message that's being put out
So you want
there.
to control the message, and
I'm
so
not saying that.
well, what are you saying then?
I'm saying there is a message, a standard being set, and is that the right standard? Is that a good, healthy
But is
standard?
it self-moderating? Can a young guy at 16 sit down and say, right, well
Oh, come
that
on!
doesn't look
Look,
right,
you
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 know,
you you just talked about pressure.
right?
There's a lot of peer pressure at that age,
Sure.
and
Yeah,
people
but
might be saying,
there was for us. It just came in a different form. Yeah.
yeah, but
Hmm.
there's more material out there to gauge
Do you think
yourself.
this promotes promiscuity, online pornography? Or do you think people now shy away from this because they're not going to live up to certain standards? That's a good question.
I can't say for sure on that because
Mm.
we're of a different genre and generation
We
now.
are.
And
Yep,
that's
yep, yep.
a very difficult question for
Mm.
us to answer. Um, it might, I'd like to reflect on it, but at the moment, I can't honestly answer that.
Mm.
You
Okay,
know,
so wrapping up this then, what have we concluded? Porn is here to stay. Well, we
Yeah,
agreed on that.
sure it is, but and it's always evolving and expanding and contracting and
Mm.
shaping perhaps what's acceptable, what isn't acceptable.
Is it out of control? Does it need controlling?
Well, yeah, I'm going to say yeah, it does, but I'm also going to say that's almost impossible
That
because
won't
if you
won't
try and
drive it underground.
drive it underground,
Mm.
will not work.
No, and it won't help anybody,
So
especially parents,
I
who want to have a handle on what's going on.
I mean,
Yeah.
can we say we live in a sick world? If you
No, I think we live in a very normal world. Why is it sick? I mean,
well,
because
because okay,
people are
you've.
tuning in
I'm
to
not
their own
saying
desires. It doesn't make them sick.
I'm just throwing out the question
Why
here.
sick? It's not
Because
sick. If you want to watch,
animals.
yeah, but that's the dark side. You don't see any animals on
Oh,
your
come on.
mainstream websites.
Yeah.
If you want to see animals, you're going to have to
All right.
really go
Okay. All right.
searching for
Okay.
it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I, I know I can't go graphic here, and I can't. You've got me gagged here. You've got my hands tied behind my back
Yeah,
because
but you're trying to look for a
no
negative
no
connotation when there
no
isn't one.
no.
Yeah.
If you look at certain behaviours on the internet, within the mainstream realm of pornography, there
Mm.
are a lot of what might be
What
considered.
you might consider. Is that what you're saying? What you might
Well,
consider?
I could put an argument here and say to you, if it was your daughter.
No, we've already done the kids, and I told you my
Ah,
opinion on
no,
that.
no.
Yeah.
I'm talking about if you had a daughter
No, the
and
same.
this was
Abs-
being done to your daughter, some of these unsavory.
But
Uh,
that's a different thing. That's not pornography, is
yes,
it?
it is. It's out there. It's
That's
there.
exploitation of minors.
Ah, no. It's pornography. It's there for everybody to see. Is it right? Should it be controlled?
It's not controllable, Paul. It's out of control. We've established that.
Uh,
Mm.
I'm talking about hypothetically, would you control it if you
No,
could?
definitely not. It's not controllable. It's so broad now. Yeah.
Well, as you can see, very controversial subject. I think we can wrap it up there.
No, indeed,
Yeah.
indeed.
Okay. So let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll look forward to seeing you again. Bye for now.
Bye.